Hello everyone, this is Zach Weiss, co-founder of Worn & Wound. I'm here in Geneva at Watches and Wonders 2023. We just finished up our meeting with Tudor. They have some really excellent watches for you. This year, unsurprisingly, the Black Bay's back. The first one, which really sort of stopped me in my tracks and I think is going to get a lot of attention, is the Black Bay 54. This model is a whole new case for the Black Bay. It's a 37mm case, and the idea behind this watch is that it harkens back to the very first Tudor dive watch from 1954, hence the name 54, which was the reference 7922. So what they did for this watch was they recreated the 37mm case to very close proportions to the original one. So if you've been looking for a smaller, thinner, even more vintage styled Black Bay from Tudor, even more so than the 58, I mean, this is really the model that is going to please you, as it certainly did me. So the case itself measures 37mm wide, as I said, has a 20mm lug width, so it still has like a really nice wrist presence to it, and it's only 11.24mm thick. So for anyone who's been complaining about Tudor thickness in the past, they certainly have answered your questions with this model. It's very thin, and on the wrist it really feels thin, but then sort of like a 36mm Explorer, because the 20mm lug width, it still has a lot of wrist presence. It didn't feel small on my wrist at all. The dial then is more closely related to the contemporary Black Bay 58 model. So you'll have a black dial with gilt print on it, cream-colored lume-filled applied markers, and the snowflake hand. The 7922 had a very similar look to it, but that did have a Mercedes hand, and the arrangement of the text was also a little bit different. The original had the Tudor rose, it had the smiling text on it. This has more of the contemporary feel, but once again, everything else has a real kind of vintage style to it. I do think this would have been an opportunity for them to bring back the smile, granted, since it is such a specific callback to the 7922, but overall, it really looks fantastic. Inside of it is the caliber MT 5400, which is an existing Tudor in-house caliber, silicon escapement, 70-hour power reserve. It is cited as having accuracy of, I believe, +2 to -4 seconds, or that might be reversed, but either way, that's actually tighter than chronometer standards. For the strap options, this one comes on a 20mm riveted bracelet with a T-fit clasp, which is fantastic. There's also a new strap option, which is a rubber strap with an end link and a T-fit like deployant clasp sort of style on there, which is a whole new strap, I believe, for them. And this thing has a really slender taper to it. So putting that on the watch and then putting on your wrist made the whole thing feel even lighter and smaller. I'm not really a rubber strap guy, but I have to say I really liked it. The Black Bay 54 also comes in at a very competitive price, and it's kind of exactly what you would expect given the Black Bay family. So it starts at around $3,600 and goes up to a little over $3,800. That is depending on the strap options. So if you've been looking for like that sweet spot sort of Black Bay, maybe something a little bit smaller, something that, feels like a Submariner from the 1950s, genuinely, this is definitely the model for you. But that's not all that Tudor has for you this year. That's just the newest kind of case and kind of the overall newest platform. They also have brought back the Black Bay Burgundy. So for those familiar, the Black Bay Burgundy dial, the 41mm case, was like the first of the Black Bay models when they returned, almost like 10 years ago. So this is like a watch that sort of has a contemporary, legendary kind of status to it because it was the original, but they've given it a pretty significant update in that it is now a METIS certified master chronometer. So this is something that I actually saw in the Tudor factory, which I got to visit just a few days ago, their brand new facility out in Les Locs. They have a whole floor, a whole big room in their new facility just towards testing for METIS certification, which includes a 50,000 Gauss magnet, as well as robots that run around the room, because this thing runs 24/7 and is leading to, and they are saying this openly, full METIS certification across the entire Tudor line sometime in the near future. They're not putting a date on that, but this is one of the first sort of models we're seeing from their normal line that is getting that upgrade, which is really exciting. So of course, METIS certification just has a much higher standard that goes through a 10-day testing process, and it is within 0 to +5 seconds accuracy. And of course, it comes with all sorts of certificates indicating that. So in addition to that movement, the watch itself looks like what you might expect from the Burgundy Black Bay, but it has been thinned down from when they first put the modern in-house movement in there. So as you might recall, when these first came out with ETA movements, they were around 12.5, then they went up to about 14.5. This one sort of splits the difference at 13.5, but it does make it wear definitely flusher and thinner to the wrist. In addition, there's new strap options. So there's the riveted bracelet, T-fit clasp on there. Then there's a new 5-link bracelet, kind of Jubilee style if you want, also the T-fit clasp. And then there is another version of that rubber strap that I was referring to before, which once again, just with this incredible taper on it. So the new master chronometer, Black Bay Burgundy 41, comes in a little bit higher than some of their other models, but I still think it's very competitively priced, starting at $4,100 and going up to about $4,400, depending on the strap option there. Once again, these are going to be available pretty much right now. Lastly, there's a new GMT. So this is just a new dial, a new colorway of the Black Bay 41mm GMT with an opaline silver dial. This is a watch you've been a fan of, but we're just looking for something different. This new version just looks fantastic. So at a glance, it almost looks like it's like white, red, and blue, which, I personally think the blue and the red of that sort of Pepsi style bezel really, really pop off when it has a light dial. But the dial is actually opaline, as I said, so it has a slight silver kind of a glint to it, a slight texture to it. It was really just striking in person. Otherwise, there's not too much new with this model, but it is just a fantastic looking one. This one comes in starting at $3,600 and goes up to around $3,800. That's not everything that Tudor released this year. There's a whole new revamp to the bezel-less Black Bay models in all the different sizes. We'll talk about that elsewhere. Once again, this is Zach Weiss from Watches and Wonders. Be sure to check out wornandwound.com daily for the next couple of weeks for Watches and Wonders coverage, and please do like and subscribe when you have a chance. Thank you.